Alright, YouTube. I'm not sure if you're not watching my videos for what reason, and I can't help that. I put my ideals out there, and people see them. I think some people do still see them, and some people care what I have to say or think. I get some agreements. I understand I'm overposting videos, and I would post this somewhere else, but the channel I was using is just incredibly difficult to post videos on. It takes way too long. It's confusing. I posted one video yesterday, took forever. I had to post it twice, took forever to get up. I posted one video on that channel or on that website rather, and it now went up, but I think it did rather, but the other one didn't, and I think hell it was still processing, but they said it finally took for some reason. So I don't want to go into talking about me, but this is going to be a video on a various amount of different issues, and I'm not going to talk about the issue I singly talked the most about until midway through the fucking video. For the obvious reason of, again, I get that you're probably not wanting to hear me say the same thing over and over, and I'm not going to be saying the same thing over and over. This is tying to an issue, or tying into a specific issue that is dependent of this in a way, and so forth. It's so all social commentary about me. If you're interested, I hope you are. If not, then what can I do? The point is, rather, the world is a very dark place, and the reason is you, and maybe not you specifically, I don't know you, but I mean, the reason is certain people in the world and certain human habits, customs, traditions, ideals, things that you don't want to give up, and things that make no fucking sense. And if you look at something like veganism, and I'll start this video out with veganism. Think about veganism, the ideal, and first of all, let me say this. If you think about veganism or vegetarianism or whatever you want to call it, and I'm not one of these hardcore fucking vegans, but how many people do you have that are absolutely against veganism and they almost hate vegans? Like, there's an anti-vegan sentiment among certain people, especially, unfortunately, in certain parts of the right wing or the right. And what is that? Human behavior. That's human being moving beyond past stages of life and trying to move into a better world. But instead of appreciating that, and or at least allowing them to be them, there are people that will go on rants and talk shit about vegans and how unhealthy it is. Well, who gives a fuck if a fucking vegan doesn't want to eat meat? Okay? And, especially if they're not telling you that you shouldn't be able to eat meat, and there are some that do that. But you're against them just being vegan. And I don't want to start this video out with Joe Rogan, because I like Joe Rogan, and he is a very smart person. And by the way, he's into some of that kind of He-Man macho bullshit too. That I don't hate, and I don't have a complete aversion to. I like some stuff. I mean, I was always a huge fan of Conan the Barbarian, for example. I think there's some positive messages in that movie. There's positive messages in different things in life. There are, I used to like wrestling. I grew tired of it, but that's fine. But rather, this video isn't about that. But he talks about meat eating. He has talked negative about vegans, and again, I have to ask why. And there was even a strongman winner, strongman competition winner, or something of that nature, who was vegan, that came out against them or something like that, supposedly in a video. But this isn't about Joe Rogan. I don't want to just Joe Rogan, but I want to talk to you about a guy that I have had diverse opinions on in the past, and I don't understand the acceptance of him, especially by certain people in the civil rights movement, and especially not by people that you would think smarter than this. Not this civil rights movement, but just different types of people. But this is a kind of but this guy, again, he's smart in a way, and he's definitely quick with words. And I've liked some of what he said in the past, but if you really look at him, first of all, let me say he's not pro-mal. He's not liberal by any stretch of the imagination. The one thing I agree with him on significantly, and that I have grown to really more over the years, is that he kind of came out against nationalism, and I'm not sure where the right wing stands on that. And again, bit of a confusing guy, and I'm not sure if this is exactly what he was saying, but I'm going to talk about this first. As far as the issue of veganism goes, he tried to talk about, or rather he talked about, he only eats meat a day. Now, explain that to me. And also the entire issue about you eating meat is this. It's kind of like saying, even if somebody, like if a vegan is against meat eating and thinks it should be illegal. And I'm not comparing it. I'm not saying it's the same. I'm not drawing a connection or a parallel between slavery, but it is alike in this way. You can't tell a person, and it's just the same thing. I want to go in. I'm just start here with this too, by the way, genital mutilation. It's the same thing with genital mutilation of children, whether it's male or female. You can't say, well, it's okay for you to own a slave. I just don't want one because I believe slavery is wrong, and I don't think anyone should have someone slaving for them. Same damn way with fucking cannibalism. Actual castration, rape, anything else. And that is why we have a thing called, what's that word again? Law. We have laws for a fucking reason here. And many of these people And many of these fucking people seem to be so pro law and order, and they want their order. That order, I'm going to go into detail about that. But he talks about eating only meat. And again, you have to wonder if that conspiracy dude, what's his name? David Icke. I don't want you to confuse him with a racist because their names sound a little bit alike. Not the racist asshole. This is a guy from England. But the point is, rather, he thinks everybody's a lizard. I mean, it's weird. But I kind of wonder if he isn't right, or if a lot of people aren't lizards, because these people act and talk and think like fucking lizards, the people that run your fucking planet. That's not bizarre to you that the person eats nothing but fucking meat? He's not saying he eats meat. The man came out in the past and literally said he'd eat nothing but meat. And he does that. You know, it's very bizarre. And this guy is your champion for constitutional liberty and things like that, things of that nature. And again, he's totally anti-individual. That goes into what I'm talking about here, is he supported genital mutilation. And what was so shocking or striking about this, rather, and I'll first say, in his defense, there was a YouTube user that used to use YouTube, and I'm not sure why he stopped using it. And I, obviously missed his videos, and he had some debates on there, and he was a pretty good guy starting out. I don't know what happened. But his name was Al Thrasher Speaks Truth to Power, and he was a guy who used the internet for a little while. And I also liked him because he was artistic, and I kind of related to him a little bit. The point is, I didn't agree with all his opinions either, and he was a little bit like Jordan Peterson in some ways, but he was against circumcision. And he said that he was against it, and he was also a vegan, or more or less pro-vegan. And he said pretty much straight up, pretty loud and clear, that he found, noticed, I think there was more video of Jordan Peterson talking about circumcision. And saying that he was against it, actually, and kind of going into video. So maybe that's true. I don't know. I'm not seeing the video. I'm not looking for hours of the video footage of someone I'm not really interested in watching right now. Doesn't end. Hours of video footage. I'm not really particularly or specifically rather interested in watching right now. But I will say this: the guy made a video that was supposed to be anti-genital mutilation, right? But either way, where he got caught on camera saying he was against it, and he says in this video, you can kind of see, this is just getting to be, see, come on. But anyways, rather, the guy made a video saying he was against genital mutilation, or rather, he got caught on camera. But then he made some video saying he's pro-genital mutilation, at least in the past. And what he was doing is trying to defend religion, I guess. But the way he did it is absolutely quite disgusting. It's anti-male. It's anti-human. If you took it all the way, I mean, it could mean anything. It's a very social darwinistic, disgusting way of looking at life in the world. And that is why the world is so dark, is shit like this that make no sense or makes no sense in my point of view. And that is, he made the tie-in. He made the tie-in rather or he admits that it's largely about pain and suffering and something that in sacrifice and something that no male would want done to them. And he admits that it's not medical, it's not fucking medicinal, it's not done for a medicinal, it's not done for any real actual fucking reason. And he admits what it's about. And he tries to defend it in a religious context that in some way in the ancient past they needed that as some kind of sacrifice. And again, keep in mind he's largely talking about infants here. An infant needs to sacrifice something. Well, I can tell you that, I guess to make them better people. Well, I can tell you this. I'm circumcised, and I'm pretty damn fucked up, okay? No, I can be a testament to how good of a fucking job that does, making people strong and powerful. Bullshit. Not saying that's why I'm fucked up, but it didn't help any. But, and it has been tied in with autism. It's tied in with the three things. Just like vaccinations have been tied in. There's probably more proof that genital mutilation does. It's messed up. You don't do it to girls. You can make the same damn argument about them. He's still being culturally biased because he didn't say that, because he knows his limits, because he's an idiot. Or he's not an idiot, rather, because he knows his fucking limits, and he just didn't want to condemn the fucking practice for whatever reason. And then I think he did get called saying that he was against it. Go figure. But again, what do you expect from the same guy saying he eats fucking nothing but meat? I mean, yeah, go figure. He doesn't give a rat's ass about children either. You don't care about animals, you don't care about children. And that is why the world's in the dark shape it's in. And why is he like this? Because he doesn't care about the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, all the things I do care about as a person. Just like someone like Ben Shapiro, who was talking to Andrew Yang and said that I think Yang said he was a little bit confused about how big of a thing that became because he said he was against it. But And he said, well, and Bishop Hillary talking about the stupidity of the internet because we think, some of us think it should be outlawed. And I've said before, I don't think that is a correct mode of action. I think you should just educate people about it and give them the information or the access to the information. But he's probably against that too, right? But why then? Why does he talk about these things and those things? Because he confuses language and he fucking has a trick. He plays these mental Jedi mind tricks with their fucking ass. And what they want is specific. They want you to turn into a giant herd of cattle. They want you to be a flock of sheep, a sheep in a flock going to your slaughter. I mean, that is what you become to them, because they are the 1%. Maybe they're not 1%, but they are certain people comfortable in society, and they want all those who aren't, the majority of fucking people, not to be comfortable in society. And that is largely what they're advocating for and what they want in life. Listen to them. I mean, you should really watch that fucking video. And there's a critique of the video by a guy who's against circumcision. But you just look up Jordan Peterson circumcision, and there's a critique video, and there's like an anime, I think the thumbnail is an anime, because he posted an anime picture up there. And that's the guy in the video, and he's telling you the truth. And it's like, again, you're talking about sacrifice, by the way. There's lots of ways to do sacrifice. There's fasting, there is chastity, there is fasting, there are things you can do as an adult, there are things even children can do. There's ways of fucking self-sacrifice and building yourself up in all this macho bullshit without fucking mutilating someone's genitals. And if that was the case, why in the hell would it not go for chicks too? And again, why? Why do you like this guy? Because he said he was against feminism? Is it that that's the case? Because he supports family values and he's against a woman's right to have an abortion, something that fucking I agree with and most any logical person would? Because of what? What is he so fucking pro-male about? He never say he was pro-male, he said he was anti-feminist or anti-feminism, and rather, if you know about some of these fucking people, they're worse than the fucking feminism, and they don't help you any more than they do. They just want to turn you into this organized fucking society that exists for their fucking benefit, and you really do. It's almost like they live because you end up in a fucking world of darkness, and that is where we're at this point. That is absolutely where we are in the food chain on this fucking planet among our species. They fucked up everything up. They live, we sleep. You have a person talking about children, even if he acts in the videos, if though maybe he doesn't completely agree with it, but Jordan Peterson is saying this horrible shit to justify religious bullshit 4,000 fucking years ago, or whatever it is. And you can say the same damn thing about any other fucking horrible shit that was done. You can say the same thing about female genital mutilation in Africa. It's wrong. It doesn't make any sense, and that doesn't make it okay to do now. And I think he said it. He just doesn't want to have a conversation about that. No, you don't. And he says, yeah, it's very dramatic. Yes, man. Taking a knife to a baby's genitals, male or female, is pretty goddamn dramatic. And while this prick, this jackoff, pretending to represent men, is saying this shit along with conservative idiots like fucking Ben Shapiro, who's talking about the stupidity of the internet because it's saying something his TV didn't want you to say, and his TV never would have told you, but now you're getting that information from sources on the internet, and people are hearing new ideals and seeing real facts and statistics because they can't control the society the same with the way things are. Now, because of that, the fucking prick wants to call it the stupidity of the internet, and he won't. And you have people like Jordan Peterson saying shit like this while we're talking about female ear piercing. And don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely against that. No one should pierce their daughter's ears, and I don't support that. I'm not even sure how much that happens anymore. But comparing that to fucking male genital mutilation, especially at a time where we haven't even begun to have enough of a discussion about this, and we should have a discussion about this, and there's no fucking reason to do this. And then this prick fucking wants to say shit like that. And the fact he has any following, and he's going over passages in the Bible that advocates rape, genocide, and everything else, and he's some of the worst shit in the Bible that also ties in with genital mutilation. It takes your fucking breath away. But that is why you live in a dark world. You want to talk about how the world's dark and why it's dark. It's dark because of you, and because you won't let it be anything else, because you make it that fucking way. It doesn't have to be that way. The world can be whatever you want. You decide to make it a fucked up, messed up place that never gets any damn better. So guess what happens, Sherlock? It never does. So, a kind of an advocate, almost adopted father to the millions of dude bros online talking about things like men and all this bullshit and the neo-masculinist crap that Alex Jones tried to get going because, he didn't want to actually promote men's rights. He just wanted to attack feminism because men's rights and feminism isn't in his fucking best interest as a conservative, because that's all a conservative is, and that is all conservatism is. It's a fucking plot. It's a scam. It's a bunch of authoritarians, and it's people trying to tell you my authority is good, their authority is bad. But do accept authority and America and yellow ribbons and its symbolism, and we're against that. We're pro this. We're against that symbol. Pro this symbol. It's anti-gay. It's anti-transgender. It's anti-bisexual. They don't consider taking a. They consider a boar wearing a pink T-shirt, a boar, these drag kids, a boar having long hair, a boar wearing a T-shirt. Hell, a man being able to do that. They consider that to be emasculating and bad for the species. But taking a fucking knife to an infant's genitals for no other reason is he said in pain and suffering. For some bizarre reason, is some kind of cult sacrifice or some bizarre symbolic shit that may or may not do anything. And if it does do anything, it will probably be negative. And we are seeing that in studies. That fucking prick that wants to stand there or sit there and say that to you and tell you that. At the same time, he's bashing transgender children and drag children and other people. It's fucking disgusting. And while they're doing all of this, at the same time, or while they're doing this, again, look at the world around you. Does it look like a good world? Does it look like anything's logical? Does it look like anything's going in a better direction? And they have, and you just fall for a new lie. The conservative Republicans just remarketed themselves, rebranded themselves, and pushed themselves as something else. And I'm not putting up the Democrats. I have more than my share of problems with the left. But at least with fucking feminists, you know where they are, you know where they stand. And they're not as bad as some conservative men for two reasons, and women for two reasons. One, not all of them hate men. And two, at least some of them, or rather the ones that do hate men, are at least honest with you. You know where they stand. And these fucking pricks, they're just liars. And every once in a while, you'll catch them in what they really say and believe. But again, I don't care if the guy's really against it. Just the fucking fact that he would stand there on a stage at all and lecture people in defense of your biblical bullshit about why genital mutilation of a child, again, I repeat, genital mutilation of a child, any child is okay, or of any child is okay, and of why it's okay to take a knife to a kid's dick is okay, is enough for me to never want to hear another word from that prick ever again. And that's my opinion of Jordan Peterson. Fuck him. He's 666.